Tonight's video will focus on coalition governments. In parliamentary democracies, after an election is held, if no single political party forms an absolute majority, not just a plurality, there are two options available. There could be a minority government where the single party governs, or maybe two party governs, but without an absolute majority of the seats, with something called confidence and supply from other political parties, meaning that the other smaller political parties will ensure the government's survival on passing certain key legislations, but they can still vote any way they want while on all the other issues. But technically those other parties are opposition parties. Now, coalition government is when there's more than one political party in government, where the cabinet is comprised of more than just members of one political party. It could be 2, 3, and in the case of Finland, 6. Coalition governments are always practical and always necessary in countries where there is never a one-party government, where there is never a one-party majority in the parliament. It's always divided, and no one has an absolute majority. The ones where there's only sometimes divided parliament, and then when there's a divided where there's sometimes no absolute majority, those countries would prefer minority governments because they're not used to coalitions. So let me gather my thoughts here. So that's why they come up with the term hung parliament. No single party has an absolute majority. Now, because some countries it's a very normal thing to have no absolute majority, they don't use the term hung parliament. Hung parliament is only used in countries where people usually would expect a one-party government to be formed. And these are parliamentary democracies, not presidential systems and versus parliamentary systems. We will discuss presidential system and parliamentary system, the comparison, in another video. Now, because it is absolutely necessary to form coalition governments, some countries have political parties that have already decided to be a coalition once entered in parliament. They've already decided. 2, 3, or 4 parties have already decided before the election is held that they will form a coalition after the election. Pre-decided coalitions. Now, these are better than post-election coalitions. In post-election coalitions, people sometimes, after an election is held, that people are unsure who's going to form the next government. There will be these closed-door, backroom negotiations that the public have no access to, and they will be discussing the terms of forming government. Oh, we'll throw out this idea, we'll throw in your idea here, we'll throw out our idea here, but we'll keep this one in, and so on. Now, that is somewhat anti-democratic. Somewhat. But then again, so is enforcing a policy upon an entire country when only a minority of the voters wanted it, that certain policy. That is also anti-democratic in my opinion. So these pre-election coalitions, these predetermined, pre-decided coalitions, where the political parties said, yes, we will form coalitions with those other political parties. We already know who our coalition partners will be. This is better because then the public are already informed that not all of their political parties, how do I put this? Policies will be implemented, saying we will have to make compromises when in government, when we are in coalition. Then what happens is these parties, before the election is held, they'll say, okay, we will have a joint agenda of these core policies, saying this is what will be enforced. And then the political parties can all throw in their own ideas, which they cannot promise, but they say this is what we advocate and we hope we can implement, but we cannot promise you. What we will promise is these things once we are in coalition, saying we will not throw out these key policies, but these other ones are what we would prefer, and we hope we'll try to introduce when in government. So that's more honest with the public. That is more honest to your voters. And pre-decided coalition throws out the ridiculous argument that first past the post advocates keep saying that, under in a hung parliament, the politicians in backroom deals in smoke-filled rooms make the decisions, not you, the voters. The power players, the political parties, the politicians will not serve you, they will serve themselves, their own careers. If there's already pre-decided coalitions, it will throw out that argument completely, because there is honesty, and then people know what they are voting for if there's these pre-decided coalitions. These pre-decided coalitions are actually common in France, in Chile in particular also, and also to some extent in Germany, as well as in Denmark. I remembered in the last election, the left-leaning parties, before the election was held, all pledged to form a coalition. So that would eliminate these ridiculous first-past-the-post advocates' argument that the party and the politicians decide, not you, the voter. So the remedy for these to throw out these closed-door meetings that are held after an election with no absolute majority as a result, is to have these pre-decided coalitions. And these pre-decided coalitions are better than the two-party big tent system, meaning that one political party with multiple ideas and several different factions within the party competing for control, like in the UK, like in the United States. These big tent parties, these pre-decided coalitions are better than big tent parties. Where, well, I already said that. Because with these pre-decided coalitions, whoever wins more or less seats means this party's priorities will be focused more than the party that won less seats. The party that did not win as much seats but are in coalition will have less of a priority. So when you cast your vote, you're saying which of these political parties that will be in coalition should have the highest priority, should have the most of their policies enforced, should be taken as the top, saying our concerns will be dominant. Now these big tent parties, the two-party system, I don't like, because politicians that disagree with each other are forced to have the same party label, and then their voters will sometimes be angry at the party, at the politicians within the party that they don't like. The ones that they like keep saying, no, 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 keep voting for me, keep voting for me. I'm not with him, but they are with him. So politicians in a two-party system sometimes have their reputations ruined by colleagues in their same political party. What do I mean by this? Well, saying, oh, I'm a Democrat, for example, in the United States. I'm not with Joe Lieberman. I don't want to invade Iran. But I'm going to lose my vote. You're not going to vote for me because of that guy? I'm different from him. I should be in a different political party. So your colleagues, other politicians, will ruin your reputation because you carry the same party label. Under these, well, I already explained the prearranged coalitions, pre-decided coalitions. It's like, here's a good analogy, here's a good way of describing a big tent party with several different factions vying for control, with 100 parties, 50 parties within one big political party. Here's a good analogy for it. It's like you have to live with your entire extended family. Hey, I love my cousins, I love my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, but does that mean I have to share my bathroom with them? Does that mean I have to share my bedroom with them? Does that mean we have to share the TV? That's ridiculous. We can make family gatherings, but that doesn't mean we have to live together. When, in contrast with the political parties in politics, it's saying we can work together in the parliament on issues that we agree upon, but that doesn't mean we have to tent up together in one political home. We'll work together on issues we agree on, but that doesn't mean we have to be from the same political party. It's ridiculous. Why do I have to share my toilet or my shower with my cousin or my uncle? I want my own house, damn it! So that's why these pre-arranged coalitions are much better than big tent parties like the Republicans and Democrats in the United States. I hope I made enough sense out of all my words. Thanks for listening.